Not yet. Now we're live. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with my wife, Miss Rachel Akbar, and I just want to be able to present her in the way that she is, the queen of the universe. I'm telling you, absolutely fascinated by my wife. When I wake up in the morning and I turn over and I look and I look, sometimes I want to capture her beauty before she open her eyes, so she don't know I'm there, secretly admiring her. But I just sometimes just lean on my elbow and look at her, and I say, "Look at God." What an amazing God do I have. So here she is, folks, in living color, my very own wife. I'm going to share with you guys for just a little while because she got some amazing information she wants to share with the world. And I'm going to support her and her efforts to do just that. So, Rachel,
Yes,
there
sir.
you have it, my dear.
Thank you, Miss Akbar. Welcome to everyone to our lunchtime tea talk, Level Up with the Akbar's next level conversation. We had some technical difficulties earlier, but we don't panic. We just pivot. I got my tea today. I got chrysanthemum and lavender. Yes, Mr. Akbar, you enjoying your tea?
Mm, I am.
Perfect. Me as well. Today we're talking about finance and travel. And I hate that I missed everything you shared earlier. I don't know. I just deleted it, so I won't know what you said. But would you like to recap and just kind of start us where you left off, or just go ahead and share with us the information you started off with in regards to finance and travel?
Well, the conversation I was having apparently with myself when I found out that no one can hear me. So I said, okay, well, I got the benefit of that information. But no, I was really talking about, the idea of not having total control of your life
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to your time and your income.
Yes.
And a lot of times, right, people don't understand or don't realize that all of their decisions in life are really predicated around your income.
Yes.
And what ends up happening over time, all of those aspirations and dreams that you once aspired to now are beginning to shrink as
Mm-hmm.
a result of inflation, your income not going up, and everything else seemed to be going up. And so now, in a settling way, right, in a gradual way, we began to settle for things the way that they are. And what ends up happening, we accept a life that we really don't deserve because
Mm.
we're better than that. We're more than that. I deserve the very best. I don't deserve to have to settle, for what it is that my income allows me to think about having. And primarily what that is being able to pay my bills. And I'm not taking gratitude out of the equation because I know it's a wonderful thing for a man to be able to step up and pay their bills and take care of their family and do everything that's required for us to be protectors and providers. But this is the point that I want to make. There is another option. And the option was never presented to me until in my later years. And what my crusade is about with the company that I represent, I'm my own company, business owner with my wife. And we going out, we telling the whole world because you don't have to wait until you get to retirement age to realize your retirement plan is not going to provide you with the means that you really want to retire with.
Mhm.
And so, it's a downgrading process. And so we want to upgrade. We don't want to downgrade. We want to level up. We don't want to level down. And so the reality is when all you got is an income that allows you to only do certain things and think about it, all of your decisions in life now become shrunken down to your income. Now, how much do you make annually?
Yes.
And then you can determine what type of decisions you've been making. That's why people are able to put statistics together and determine how people think. That's why commercials are sometimes geared towards a certain population of people. Why is that? Well, because they know what your income is. And then they know how to control your thought process around that. You see, you're only going to get a certain limit on your credit card, right? Because they know what your income is. They call it income to ratio, and all of that type of stuff that goes into people deciding on how you're going to be credited. And now your decisions are based on that, about how you treat your family, the presents that you give them, the trips that you go on, the community that you live in, all of that's predicated on the income that someone else control. And now, after you get yourself riddled with debt like I did, and it's a heartbreaking situation when you come to find out now in your elder years, when life should be ready to reward you with all your hard-earned years of work, then you find out it's not the case.
Mhm.
And you find out at a time when there's not much you can do about it. Isn't that just a devastating thought to think about how seniors are being treated now instead of being treated with royalty? Instead, just like when the veterans come home, or I mean, when the military come home, from the war, sometimes they're not treated with the respect that they truly deserve, as warriors for this country, as making sure that our securities are protected and everything that we have going on is safe. Sometimes they come home and they treat it like, somebody else. But the reality is our seniors are treated in that way as well. We are the fuel, middle class are the fuel to keep this society running. Why? Because we're paying all the interest and all the taxes. And what happens when we run out of fuel? I'm talking about, our youth becoming aged and we can't perform as well as we once could. And now we beginning to slow down. And everything in our life begins to degrade, including our finances. And that's the fuel behind it all that makes me now, as a senior, become overwhelmed with stress. Why? Because when I look at my bills and I look at my money, I decide, because it's a clear determination, that my money is not going to match the length of days that's in the month. Mm-hmm. So now I got to start thinking about how am I going to navigate through this 30-day process and make sure I still have enough. Now, just think about that. Work 40 years for some people to be able to retire, and now you have, and you are stressed over money. Well, there's a different option. And so I know I'm talking a lot more than you probably thought I would, but I got a little overwhelmed with passion because this is what I am. I used to work in the mental health field, and I was passionate about that, but I worked for somebody. And so my passion was really restricted. And I didn't realize how restricted it had become, because now, my work was not evolved around how able I was to help others. It was about how the people that I worked for allowed me to help others. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there was a critical situations that the people that I worked for didn't see it like that because they didn't quite understand the relationship with the psychic and the physique. There's a correlation, right? I mean, when I'm not thinking right, I might misbehave. And so that's a whole nother conversation. But the reality is I was being controlled in ways that I didn't even realize. Yeah. It's crazy. And so now I'm a free man. I'm truly economically free. Why? Because I have the ability, because of a company that's allowed me to come in and get a license with the state of California to be able now to help families get out of debt, to help families save their money, not spend their money, to help families earn interest on their money, not pay interest on somebody else. You see, and all of those features comes with just having a little bit broader insight of how your life can be designed by you, not given to you as a default by someone else. What do you think about that, Mrs. Akbar? Let's take a toast. Make a toast.
Toast
to my queen.
Thank you, sir. And I toast to you as well. And I was just sitting back listening, and learning from a very wise man that's sharing some very great information that unfortunately is not shared amongst the masses. I was just talking to one of my beloved children, and just to hear how, they believe in what we do. They're grateful that we've helped them with what we do. But when you're talking about protecting your assets, and you're talking about protecting your life and protecting your money, for some reason, it baffles me to this day. It can be taboo to certain people. They want to talk about everything but what's really important. And when I say anything outside of God, how important is it? But if it's not about God, then it's not about taking care of your assets, leaving inheritance to your heirs, leaving generational wealth, protecting and maintaining your legacy. Really, what is there left to talk about? And sometimes individuals can be challenged with relationships, thinking, oh, they're coming, they're going to be talking about insurance, they're going to be asking me, am I covered? They're going to be asking me how I'm planning for retirement. What vehicle am I actually saving in? Am I gaining interest, earning interest? And if so, how much? And is it the best strategy that's available? To me, these are the conversations that's necessary to have. Not so much with concert and tennis shoes and, next rap song and next outfit, all of these material things that are going to pass away at some point. I mean, yeah, it's great to have fun. That's part of one of our 5 F's. But if you notice, faith, family, finance, and fitness comes way before fun. So, I learned as a child, you take care of business before pleasure. And what I'm finding is so many people are not taking care of their business. And even when you approach them about it, they're so guarded in regards to that they want to put it off. Well, let's just talk about that later. Let's just enjoy the moment, talk about that later. And then later never comes. My outlook, especially in regards, humanity, I have a big heart for humanity. However, I do have a big issue that if I've tried to share this information with you and I've tried to sit down and talk to you and you put that off, when things happen as they do, they often do, and they will do, continue to do, I'm just really regarded. I mean, I'm really guarded on how you come to me for my funds after I've already shared the platform. I've shared the information. I've shown you reality. I've shown you history. I've also shown you the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are the numbers. And what's necessary. Start somewhere. You don't have to have that $1 million, that $3 million, that $5 million plan, but start somewhere. So your family is not starting from the ground up if something was to happen to you. That you don't have to start creating a GoFundMe for the older generation or even the younger generation. People think because they're young, they got forever to make these choices and decisions. And guess what? It's when you're young is when you should start. Not when you wait till you get 50. Now you want to start thinking about retirement and you got say 15 years to plan. And when you look at the chart on how and what you need to save on a monthly basis to reach $1 million, and now we know that $1 million is still not enough to stay retired post retirement from age 60 to 90, 94. You have to have a plan in place. And if you're thinking that taxes are going to be lower when you get ready to retire, historically they're higher. The market has to crash in order for it to go back down to a low rate. And as we see, the market hasn't crashed in 13 years. So it's due to crash. But nevertheless, where are you going to be when the market crashes? And if you're in a tax deferred plan that's attached to the stock market, you know that you're going to lose and have to gain and recuperate 100% to get back where you were. And if you just stop and see where you are right now and then start to do the math, the average person 50 years old only has 38,000 in a retirement plan. And if you're making 40,000 a year, how long is that 38,000 going to last you if you were to retire today? Not even the full year. So, it's imperative I don't see how people can think anything else is important. To me, what else is there? Especially when you're owning property, you're building businesses, you're creating all of these things. How are you protecting it if something was to happen to it? And how are you leaving it behind if something was to happen to you? But the biggest kicker of it all is when I was asked, can you leave your job to your children? Can you leave your job to your heirs? Now, most people haven't even been on their job long enough to, retire and have seniority there where they can have a 401k because the pensions are long gone. But even with that thought, can you leave your job to your children? The answer is no. So then, other than that, if you're taking away you and the job, what is there left for your heirs? if you're not planning on how to create generational wealth, if you're not planning on creating a family dynasty, a family legacy, a family business, and you own a home and you owe 200,000 or more, something was to happen to you today, how can the family maintain that? The taxes and the licenses and the mortgage. How are you planning for that? So this topic is I'm so passionate about it because once I start talking about it, it just brings so much in me because I saw my family legacy being lost through the next generation that wasn't prepared to continue the legacy. And as a result, none of that legacy is around today. Everyone again had to start over again. And that generation legacy is not a legacy that's going to be fit for generations to come, if I may put it that way. So yeah, Mr. Akbar, I'm super passionate and I really appreciate you talking about, having a dream and also having your dream predicated on what you're bringing in and how your dream shrinks according to your income. That's huge. Especially if you're talking to young individuals and you're asking them, what is your dream? What is your goal? And they're sharing with you what their dream passion is. And you, as the adult or the one that the guardian that's overseeing them, can't afford to help them with that dream. What do you tell them? Almost like what they told Jesus, huh? You can't have all those dreams. You can be a carpenter.
Yeah, it's true. And what I pay attention to now, when you're having a conversation with people about visions and dreams, aspirations, and where people are going, it in a lot of situations, and I'm not going to say most, in a lot of situations, it's a very limited conversation. And I'm going to tell you what I believe. It's because they're not truly thinking. You see, so we have thoughts, but our thoughts now, where do our thoughts generally come from? It comes from one of our senses, right? We feel, touch, see, hear, and we have a thought related to that, and we believe we're thinking. You see, but now if your thinking is not in the future, if your thinking is not about imagination, if your thinking is not about creation, you're just having a thought. And thoughts are generally related to something that already happened. That's why I believe it's so easy for people to have conversations about past than they are to have conversations about future. Mm-hmm. Because the future requires thinking. Mm-hmm. What are you going to play? How are your plans? And all of those things that go into the creative process of living life as you design it. So what's comfortable for us is to have thoughts about the past and live our life by default as others have planned it. And see, that's the thing that hurt me when I came aware as an adult male, as a man in this society, when I realized that as a result of me lacking so much information related to how I should have been growing up, how I should have been creating, how I should have been using my imagination, how I should have been driven towards my dreams. I'm talking about the high dreams that I had when I was a kid, where I wanted to travel the world and do amazing things. You see, and how did all of that get so dissipated and diluted and degraded and downgraded to a point now that I can rarely remember what they were about. And every now and again, when I get a glimpse of it, I dismiss it because my day-to-day activity now has become so congested with just trying to make ends meet so I can meet the ends. It's crazy, you see, and people do not think about that. And so having a conversation about it becomes difficult. So as you were talking about earlier in your description of how some of your encounters have been with folks who don't want to take advantage of future ideas and do something right now about that to prevent it from happening. Well, the reason that is because people don't think. People have thoughts. You see?
I hear people say often, well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Wow.
Don't want to think about it. Don't want to think about it because you see when you start
to think about.
But see when you start thinking about what you probably should be doing, you know what's required? The thing that takes you away from your comfort zone. And this is a word that's rarely used nowadays. And are you sitting down?
I am.
Okay, so you should be able to take it sitting down. Sacrifice.
Ooh, hit me where it hurt.
You see? And so, who's sacrificing? Even though I want my children to go off to college, not me personally, I'm talking about you in a general way, so I want to be connected to the group. But now I want my kids to go off to college. What are you doing to secure that?
Right.
Life is not based on hopes and wishes.
Mm-mm.
Life is based on sacrificing and planning, designing and creating, using your imagination to make sure that everything comes to fruition at the time that you designed it to.
Right.
And so, it requires an entirely different set of ideas related to future planning and thinking. Now, think about that. What do you really think about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, your thoughts of the past. And that's why most people, when they get together, they're talking about something that already happened.
Well, you know what? We've been conditioned to think like that too. We've been conditioned to think about getting a job. When I get this job, when I get this job. I hear that all the time. And then when you get the job, you've had the job for 5, 6, 10 years, still saying the same thing. Well, when I get in a better position, when I get in a better position. Well, how are you going to get in a better position if the job that you got, that you said, when I get this job, that you will be in a better position, but now you got the job, when I get in a better position. So then now it starts to think about, I need to get a second job. But then when you get the second job, you notice too, the more you make, the more you want, the more you do. And then it's still you back in that same position when I get into a better position. Well, what plan do you have in place to get into a better position? If it wasn't the first job, it wasn't the second job, and you're still not in that position, what is it going to take? And how long is it going to take for you to get there, especially if you're still not there after doing these things 5, 6, 10 years down the line?
Well, I'll tell you what I believe is going on with that whole line of thought is people don't believe there is another option because they haven't been exposed to it. And I was what you described was me some years ago.
Yeah.
I thought getting in a better position in life was getting a different job or a better job or another job or an added job. It was all related to working for somebody. And what I didn't relate to working to somebody was they was in control of my life.
Yes.
And I didn't want to believe ever because of my dedication and passion to serving somebody on their job that there will ever come a place of replacing me. Is it? And so the reality is not my job. It was an awakening for me. You see, and as driven as I was by my passion, as driven as I was to help somebody, because I believe this is why God put us, each and every one of us here, to serve each and one another. The capacity that I was able to do that in was limited to someone else's decision. Now, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I'm a free man now because I control my time and I control my income. And I think if we share the information with others who are passionate about their family, who are passionate about their living situation, who have high dreams and aspirations, but just didn't think it was possible because of their limited income and the means, how would they ever achieve something like that? So they dismiss it. They accept life by default. I go on vacation once a year on credit cards mostly. I come back, I work an entire year to bring my credit card debt down to a reasonable place so I can do it all again. And it seemed like it's all normal and going pretty well.
Yeah.
Until something interrupts that process.
Yeah.
Now, when something interrupts that process, there is nothing else set up. I have no protection on my money. I have no protection on the security that I work so hard to get in place. So when something interrupts my ability, whether I lose the job or lose my ability to go to the job, the income stops.
Yeah.
My life now is changed. And
Mhm.
so because my life has changed, I started thinking, wow, what happened? Well, what happened, you didn't think beyond what was going on right now. And so we had thoughts that was related to my income.
Mhm.
Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
But I'm saying just imagine that concept though. And I know for some it might be strange to even think about. I don't think. Because people think they think.
Yeah.
But thinking is tied into your imagination and being creative about your future
And your beliefs.
and your beliefs. But
Mhm.
see, your beliefs now, you got to be careful with that because your beliefs can be locking you in to accepting what is. And
Definitely.
so you can be locked into a set of beliefs that have you lined up with some principles that are designed to limit you in
Yeah.
your growth process.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
That's why I
what,
want to encourage a couple of books, if you don't mind. And I probably often say Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Super important.
that's my book you got in your hand, right?
Nope, this is my book, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one too.
Well, good for you. And this one, What Would the Rockefellers Do? This one is so important by Garrett Gunderson. It shares with you how the Rockefellers are still one of the richest and wealthiest families today, by 7, 8 generations in on family generational wealth legacy planning. They use whole life. There's another strategy where if they would have used that strategy, they would have been the wealthiest family still today. Mr. Akbar is happy to share that with you all. You can find him on Facebook under Mr. Salahuddin Akbar. You can find him under Instagram as Mr. Salahuddin Akbar. He's pretty straightforward. I appreciate having these conversations with you, Mr. Akbar. I learn from you all the time. I'm just grateful to be in a relationship with you as well because, we need to learn from our elders. We need to learn from the people that come before us. We need to learn from our predecessors how life is done and actually, watch them make some decisions and choices that they end up making new decisions and choices and learn from those challenges that they've overcome so that we can have a better reaction, a better experience with life in general. We don't have to create those same mistakes. Once we're seeing someone like you that's open and willing to talk to us about, man, I wished I would have known about this company. I would have wished I would have known about entrepreneurship the way that I know about it now, that I can actually control my time, write my own checks, and be the captain of my own destiny ship. I know I got to toast you with that too, because we're just taught to go get a job. And, this was talked about finance and travel. And I just want to give the last 3 minutes to talking about the travel portion. When you're able to get out and see the world and you're able to get from out of your own radius and be able just to see how other people are living and have conversations with individuals about, what they're doing to enjoy life and what excites them, then you're able to create beautifully. But when you're stuck in a rut or just in that same 9 to 5 in your same environment and you're stuck with the hopeless, how do you find hope? And especially in a hopeless situation. So it's super important to self-develop. It's super important to get mentally tough, but it's definitely important to sit down with an individual that can share with you information that you may not have been privileged to know before and then make your choice and decision. So I love the fact that we are in the business of educating and helping families learn that there's other avenues and other ways to create wealth that a 9 to 5 will never allow you to do. And we're not taking anything away from 9 to 5s because yes, they're necessary for monetary gain, monetary benefits to pay your day-to-day monthly bills. But when you find out something better and when you learn better, it's necessary that you do better. And so we found the golden ticket. We have the golden key to a better future, and we're grateful for it. I'm so grateful for you, Mr. Akbar, that you're able to, touch people's lives the way you are and help them with this information, educating and helping. And as a result, the company rewards us handsomely to do that. So, any last words? We have a couple minutes left.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank everybody who happened to be in earshot of this, to say how hard is it? How hard is it to listen?
Mm.
Well, it can be pretty difficult when you have not been properly educated on what listening is truly about. But
Yeah.
now just think about this idea.
Mhm.
If you had an opportunity to do something that will secure your family legacy, and if you don't have one, to build a family legacy, and all you needed was to spend a few moments to listen, what would keep you from doing that? Well, we're talking about a paradigm shift now.
Mhm.
We have been, like Miss Akbar was talking about, our conditioning, our settling. Fight that. Say, I want to venture off into this other arena just to see. It ain't gonna hurt you. I mean, what's the worst case? My wife don't like the expression worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Well, you're gonna find out something that you didn't already know. Wow. Hey, it won't hurt. It's
And I
not
like Dr.
gonna
Sonia
hurt.
said, you may not have come from a family of millionaires, but let a millionaire family come from you.
Whoa, I love it. All
And
right, with that,
with that, we could be out.
that's a good note to be out on. Hey,
You know,
millionaires.
millionaires, brother.
Thank you, my sister.
And people say money's not everything, but money is the vehicle that'll get you to everything.
Whoa, say it again. Say it
Said-
again before I shut it down.
Mrs. Akbar said that. I said, well, money, people say that money isn't everything. And I agree, but money is the vehicle that can help you get to everything.
You know what I can do to help the homeless right now? If I had a few million, do
Yeah,
you know?
a
Do you
lot.
know how? Do you know how effective I can be?
Yes.
Right, to be able to navigate through society, be able to identify problems, and then move in there with the resources to help resolve some of those problems. I can't do it now because of my money. But guess what? Just give me a little time. I'm gonna help solve some of the community problems, right? Because it requires what everybody's trying to get: money. So, Mrs.
Yeah.
Akbar, thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention.
I appreciate you. And I shut it down. Have a great day.
With your permission, I say.
I say, peace, brother.